What's up, Internet? We're back with a Monday morning edition of Morningwood, the Hardwood Herald's NBA show. We're here with Larry Villains and myself, and we got a lot to discuss today. Big weekend of NBA basketball.
Sure was. Let's get right to it.
All right, we're going to start. You got to start with the Dame PG-13 beef. I feel like this whole thing is exactly why I love Damian Lillard so much.
Sure.
I mean, one, he somehow loses the game, but I feel like in his interviews, he still somehow won.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that happens more than it probably should for Dame. I think that's part of the problem. Dame, I love Dame. Who doesn't love Dame? Dame is awesome right now. You know what the Blazers have? They have more losses than wins. It's just over and over again that Dame he's a Twitter beast. But I would love to see the whole team translate to wins on the floor. You know, there's no arguing about his game. He's ridiculous. But it's just the amount of smoke being blown up Dame right now, or better yet, blown up Rip City. The team needs to win more games.
They do. I mean, look, the one thing about Dame is you can't say that he's not coming ready to play. I mean,
absolutely not.
He drops 51 points last night, kind of, obviously not against the Clippers, but in a statement of like, hey, nothing's phasing me. I'm going to keep doing my thing.
Right.
51 points for them to beat a team that was really kind of empty-handed after Embiid goes down.
Well, that's ridiculous. Like that's insane. Embiid's out in 5 minutes. Ben Simmons is already out. It takes Dame putting up 50 in a fourth quarter comeback to beat the 76ers.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Their offense, obviously, there's no problems there. They're going to get points from Nurkic. They're going to get points from CJ. They're even going to get points from Melo. Melo has been playing pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, Melo, I think Melo's really – I love Melo when Dame is resting because then it's a lot of Melo. He does all the stupid, elbow jabs and everything like that into, fadeaway jumpers, which is fine when Dame is resting. When Dame's on the floor, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, when Dame's on the floor, you got to be Olympic Melo.
You're right.
But they just need to get stops, and this is where we see them missing that wing defense they lost in the offseason so badly. And that is kind of what Nas Little from Carolina was supposed to be for them when they drafted him, but he's a rookie and he's not getting any run. So I don't know, in the offseason, to me, it seems like for them, they just need that wing that is going to be able to check the PG-13s, the Kawhis, the whatever wing scorer they have, because they don't have that. And that's an issue. But, Dame's doing all he can.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, granted, they dealt with injuries this season for sure, but losing Amino is a 15 to 20 game spin. Like, that's a lot. Dame's doing everything he can, literally sole-handed to try to pull out these games. But the amount of Twitter hype that these guys are getting for a team that literally might not make the play-in game is insane.
Yeah, that is insane. And that's because the Spurs won't go away.
The Spurs will not go away. Greg Popovich is just the goddamn best. He really is. And DeMar DeRozan, everybody likes to shit on DeMar DeRozan. He's balling right now.
He's balling. His fourth quarter scoring has been unbelievable. And everybody likes to get on him because he's not a three-point guy.
Sure.
When the game gets tight in the fourth quarter, not everything needs to be a three. And sometimes you just need to get the best shot possible. And he can go and get that little mid-range shot at any time.
There's a lot of teams that don't have that don't have that guy to go get a bucket when they need it.
Yeah, and he's doing it. And the funny part, like you said, and where Pop is just amazing, it's that next man up mentality, is that Aldridge isn't even here to help along with this.
Right, and that's what we're saying with the Heat last week. The Heat need a guy to go get a bucket at the end. They don't really have it. It's, ideally it's Jimmy, but Jimmy's still never been just a, go away, let me get to the hole guy at all times. DeMar DeRozan's doing that right now.
DeMar is. Jimmy, he showed that in Chicago. towards the end, but there's not enough talent. So if there's not enough talent, whatever you do in the regular season in that role isn't that important. And when Rondo went down in the series with Wade, Rondo against the Celtics, Jimmy couldn't really get to that next level as that last minute go-getter to put them over the top in a series that, even though the Bulls weren't favored, they had a 2-0 lead going home. So you figure even without Rondo, they should at least split, and Jimmy couldn't get that done. And then the whole Timberwolves situation, whatever. So Jimmy definitely has a lot to prove as far as the Miami Heat thing go, and he needs to get back. And apparently he's going to be back for tonight's matchup with TJ Warren, who bounced back in a big way, still balling. Just, like you said from the beginning.
I've been telling y'all from the beginning. So, I mean, it's not an anomaly anymore. This is obviously what TJ Warren's going to do for the rest of this bubble in my mind. I can't see it just stopping. You know, is he going to put 40? No, but he's still going to be playing well. That seems to be where this is going for the life of this bubble for him.
I agree. And part of me wonders, and I was thinking about this, obviously he's taken on a little bit of a bigger role considering that Sabonis got hurt and isn't playing in the bubble.
Right.
One of the Pacers' big dilemma over the last, year and a half, whatever it's been, is that Sabonis and Miles Turner aren't like the absolute ideal fit, I guess, because they both are kind of centers, but neither one of them can really size down. You could play them together, but in the new NBA, it's not necessarily ideal. Is TJ Warren the guy who's going to be able to push the Pacers to make the move to move one of those guys? Because he looks like he could be, look, I don't think he's going to be a number one scorer for a good team in the long term over an 82-game season. But if Oladipo gets back to being Oladipo, TJ Warren looks like he could be a pretty good number two. And then you have Brogdon as the number three, and then whatever you get out of the package for one of the big guys. I feel like this is the time for them to make the move.
Yeah, it makes sense. They might as well. I mean, you know, it's going to be hard for Indiana's never been known to go get free agents. So I think it'd be great to see what they can do to try to push this team to the next level. I love watching the Pacers. I love what they're doing. The only thing that's a shame is that the East right now, basically almost everything is set. So it's like right now, yeah, it's going to be fun watching this Pacers Heat game only because that's more than likely what they were getting in the playoffs. So the only thing that can really change is a 4-5 for the most part. I assume Philly's going to continue to not win because they're just missing their two best players. Yeah. So that being said, the East is basically almost exactly set. Now it's just the difference between the Pacers Heat, which are 4-5. Realistically, it doesn't matter.
I have to say, I am excited for the first Jimmy versus TJ Warren battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, especially, you know, if we can get this game plus another 6 to 7 more. I would love that. The East playoffs, looking at the standings, there's not, if Embiid and Simmons are out or just Simmons is out, there's not many series in the East that you're dying to watch. But round one. But the Pacers Heat, that's going to be awesome.
That is going to be awesome. I don't know if you went back and watched the Jimmy interview where after TJ and Jimmy got into the beef. Really solid stuff from Jimmy.
Sure.
And calling him trash, not in his league. And it looks like right now, TJ Warren is in everybody's league. So It's going to be really interesting to see if this blazing hot TJ Warren can be slowed down by Jimmy G buckets.
Sure.
I guess we'll get the Sixers thing out of the way because, you know, we touched on a few times with Joel going down. I don't know how serious it is, but he only played 5 minutes. And even if it's not that serious, but it's still something that is hampering him to go 100%. Not necessarily ideal for the Sixers.
As I said, I made an incorrect statement last week. I said last week when Ben Simmons goes down, this is the absolute worst case scenario for the 76ers to see what this team is going to project to be. I was wrong. If Simmons and Embiid are both down, this is by far the absolute worst case scenario that we can see for this Sixers team.
Yeah.
They have no idea because they've been, underachieving the entire season. Going into the playoffs, you're going to see if they could put it together to try to, accumulate wins and maybe try to, take on the Celtics first round. Without Simmons and Embiid, there's no chance. I mean, you have no idea what this team's ceiling is now. So that means they really have no choice. And especially now with losing both your best guys, does it make sense to even fire the coach?
I mean, they're going to do something. And I feel like they're going to go coach before trade. So does it make sense? I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be his fault. If they lose in the first round to the Celtics, is it going to be Brett Brown's fault that they lost without Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons?
Absolutely not. No. Even just without Simmons.
Even just without Simmons. Granted, with that said, I am looking forward to a Celtics-Sixers first-round series if Joel Embiid can play. Because the Celtics really don't have an answer for that over a 7-game series. Brad Stevens will get creative. But, I mean, there's only so much creativity you can get before you get to, like, hey, let's try Marcus Smart.
Yeah. I think Enes Kanter and Embiid will have some Twitter beef during that. I could see that happening as well. But yeah, I agree. They don't have Celtics have. It's just not a good matchup for the Celtics. Granted, I think the Celtics are more talented. They just don't have nobody to put in front of Embiid.
Nobody. Going back to the Pacers, I feel like either of the Pacer guys, if the Celtics can figure out a way to get either of those two guys,
sure.
I feel like that would be a really great fit for them because they just need. And I don't think Robert Williams is the answer. I don't think any of these young Celtics guys are going to be the answer for this first round, or for this season. And I like Daniel Tice a lot, but I don't really want to rely on him. Bouncing to the West, the Rockets just playing really great basketball.
Well, the big thing about the Rockets, I mean, it's kind of like the opposite Blazers. The Rockets, it's the same format, similar format, except they have other players step up and are good.
They have that wing defense on lock.
They have wing defense on lock, but when you're getting 40 out of Austin Rivers, can you rely on that? Absolutely not. But could it show up in a playoff game? Absolutely.
Yeah.
In games like that and teams like that, I think that's what's great what Harden is doing. He's making his teammates around him better. He's getting him open to be able to try to get these players to have, Ben McLemore is all of a sudden a contributing player on a good team. He's making players around him better, and it's helping the overall team, and it's helping his load.
Yeah, I actually don't think the Rockets are the worst thing to watch, especially in this kind of setting where it's more like a weird tournament setting. And this is kind of like we're getting a refreshed look at that small ball kind of strategy that they decided to take part in.
Right.
It's working. I do want to see Westbrook Harden kind of playing consistently together again. Obviously, Westbrook looked amazing in that kind of almost like center role where he was just attacking a wide open paint, kind of as just the at the rim guy. But they are going to give all of these teams trouble. And I get it.
Right now, the Rockets, how do you not put them as the best team in the West standing this moment? I just don't know how you don't.
Yeah, because the Clippers, they're still doing this light switch thing. I mean, the loss yesterday it's I want to say it's inexcusable, but the Nets might be the best team in the league.
Yeah, they're missing PG, but even still, them missing PG or Kawhi one game in a playoff isn't impossible either.
It's not impossible. It's in fact, it's probably probable that that's going to happen at some point. Especially, I'm assuming they're going to get cute with the rest in the first round, depending on who their first round opponent is. But yeah, I love what the Rockets are doing. I feel like Harden. I feel like he's kind of been discredited the entire year. Yeah,
because people are just tired. People know that James Harden can do this.
And burnout.
It's when it comes to the playoffs, that's when, that's the critique on Harden. He can score and win games in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, it doesn't translate.
Yeah, for sure. And my thing with that I'm curious about is that it's always there's a burnout with him. There's a fatigue. Right. He gets to the playoffs. He carries such a big load in the regular season. You get to the playoffs, and he can't get it done. I don't necessarily know if it's like the most fair criticism. Obviously, he didn't make the finals. He didn't get past the Warriors. But, we kind of give LeBron and the Cavs all this credit for taking the Warriors, pushing the Warriors with the KD version, even though they kind of got their ass kicked when the Rockets were 1/2 away from getting past them in a 7-game series. So I feel like he doesn't necessarily get the most credit because he's not putting out outlandish numbers, but it's not like he's just totally shitting the bed either. But I'm hoping that with all of the rest and kind of a refreshed body, maybe this is the year that he just, all it takes is 1 year. People were saying the same thing about Dirk, that he couldn't get it done in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, James Harden, that it's hard because the series that's always going to haunt him is that Clipper series.
Yeah.
That's just brutal. So that Clipper series is always going to haunt him until he wins. Then, they were a half away and they had to miss 275 3-pointers in a row for the Warriors and a Chris Paul injury for them to advance. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think James Harden, he's got all the talent in the world. I've been saying it since the start of this. I'm doubling down even more. I mean, going into this where all teams were healthy, I just don't know how they're not the best team in the West right now.
Yeah, because the other thing that they have that none of the other teams have, well, the Blazers might have it, a few other teams here and there, but they have a togetherness, kind of a consistency about them. These guys have played together before. Even though the Westbrook-Harden pairing is new this year, they had all the time to run in OKC. It's not like you're putting Anthony Davis, LeBron together, Paul George, Kawhi together, where, yeah, their games complement each other, they fit, but they've never actually played together in a playoff series. Harden and Westbrook actually have that. Harden's been, the consistent part of that team forever. He's not a hired gun. All of these guys that they bring in, a bunch of them have been there for a while now. And the guys that are kind of newer, it's spot-up shooters, Ben McLemore, guys like that can kind of just fit in and are fitting in better here than anywhere else. So I feel like that kind of consistency with their team makeup, with their coaching, I feel like that is going to benefit them in the playoffs where they've already been through a bunch of adverse situations together. Yeah,
and Robert Covington has been playing great as well. Add him into that mix of players. So I think one thing could possibly help the burnout as well is, you know who else is another high usage guy who is used to carrying nonstop that could possibly help this team? It's Russell Westbrook. Yeah. And Russell Westbrook, though, I don't think that guy gets burnt out. So, in the situation where Harden gets tired and the step backs are not there, you could always rely on Westbrook to carry for a minute.
Yeah. And, Westbrook never had all of the space he had as a creator in OKC. If there's one thing OKC loved surrounding their stars with, it was guys that can't shoot. That was their favorite thing. And now everybody could shoot. So, even if Harden's on the bench and you're just like, you give the ball to Russ to go be that menace wrecking ball. Now he's got guys that he can kick it out to and are going to hit shots consistently. So playoffs are going to be fun for them. I'm really, really excited for playoff Rockets.
Yeah, I really hope we get the, either Clippers, Rockets, or Rockets, Lakers. I don't know why we wouldn't, but I'm really excited for those series.
Yeah. Before we transition, and because this is just a short thing, because the Pelicans are now officially eliminated from playoff contention. So rest in peace, JJ Redick's playoff streak. Dude, Zion is fat as shit.
Oh, he looks so fat. I understand it's COVID situations and everything like that, but he did not work out and diet during the COVID time.
He's really got to slim down. That was just a quick thing because that's something that we've been talking about throughout the entire week. And as quick as he moves offensively, when he gets the ball, he kind of hits the hole like a running back when he gets it. Defensively, he needs to slim down so he can make rotations and shit.
Yeah, he does not look good. If he stays like this, he is 100% going to get hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every time he makes a quick move, I'm like, this dude's getting hurt.
I see him. I'm like, I didn't know Big Baby Davis was back.
Right. It's like if you created Big Baby Davis on 2K, but you gave him 100 athleticism.
Who would do that?
Nobody, but that's what it's like. So the Nets won again.
Yeah.
They spoiled our best bet going into the weekend.
Goddamn Kings.
Jacque Vaughn's doing a great job. And Joe Harris, I feel like he is, as of right now, he might be one of the big winners heading into free agency because he is balling out.
Yeah, if there is any winners going into free agency due to the salary cap dropping, I assume, yeah, it's got to be Joe Harris. I mean, the Nets, it's ridiculous at what they're doing. It's insane. Like, is there a little bit of Ewing theory with Kyrie on that?
Well, I feel like that has been the case for a while.
Sure. You don't even know which team I'm talking about when I say that.
Right. But they just don't have they don't have a lot of good NBA players on their team right now, and they're still like Dinwiddie's not playing. Like their guard play is not good. LeVert's playing well.
I mean, it's basically the Nets from 2 years ago, or I guess last year technically. The Kyrie-less Nets when they won they made the first round.
Yeah, without D'Angelo Russell. That's right. What it is. I don't know how they're doing it. I do think part of it is the weird bubble situation. They have a lot of pieces that have played together for a long time. That cohesion definitely helps in situations where you haven't played organized basketball in months because of the quarantine. Joe Harris is shooting. He's on fire. He's shooting fireballs out of the net right now, and I think that he's a guy that I don't know if the Nets are going to want to pay him a ton of money. He's obviously perfect to play with Kyrie and KD, assuming they're both back next year. But I feel like he's a guy that he was never going to command $20 million a year, but he also wasn't going to command like $12 million a year because he's such a good shooter. I feel like that 15, 16 million range. I don't know if that's going to change for him. Even if the salary cap goes down, I feel like he could still get that from somebody.
He should get that from somebody. I don't know who that is, though, because Joe Harris, for him to excel, he's got to be on a good team already, in my opinion.
No doubt.
So, to go put him on a poor team, it's not going to make a difference in your team. But if you put him next to LeBron, that would be insane.
Right. And, I think, let's take your Knicks, for example. I think he'd be a great fit next to RJ Barrett.
They're not a good team.
They're not a good team. He'd be a great fit next to RJ. In theory, though, if you're taking money out of the equation, he's a guy that has already played like other Tom Thibodeau players. In theory, it works. But that's if you were to get him for, say, $11 million, $12 million.
That would only work if we had a point guard, in my opinion. We need a point guard.
Well, that's I think that's the hope in the draft, but I'm less optimistic about.
How about put him on the Thunder?
Yeah, he would be great on the Thunder.
I would love that.
I don't know how they make that happen. I think their cap situation is crazy, but he's a guy that can fit anywhere though. Because he could shoot it. He could shoot it so well in so many scenarios, and his off the bounce game is getting a little bit better.
Does LeVert want to play on this team next year?
Well, that's the thing. I think that you're looking at kind of a Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen kind of trade for that third guy.
Yeah. Because I think after doing what they did last year's playoffs to now and excelling again, why in the world would you want to not even be Kyrie or KD's Robin? You're just an extra guy who's going to get bench minutes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's not.
They're too young, and they haven't got paid yet.
Haven't got paid. He's not the ideal third option with those two guys because he's not a guy that could just get a bunch of buckets, hitting spot-up shots. He does a little bit too much off the dribble, but obviously KD and Kyrie aren't going to be doing a ton of spotting up, letting LeVert go to work in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like you said, he's not going to be. He doesn't want to be Jamal Crawford off the bench coming in and just putting up a bunch of buckets. He's not there. He wants to get paid. He wants to be a starter in the league. Jarrett Allen, I think, is obviously the center that you should keep, but they put themselves in this DeAndre Jordan situation. So when KD and Kyrie come back, they're going to want to play with DeAndre Jordan, not Jarrett Allen.
How do I get LeVert on the Knicks? That's what I want on the Knicks.
That would be great, but I don't think the Knicks have that that final piece for Brooklyn. I don't think Kevin Knox is getting it done.
Right. Well, that hurts my feelings. But you're discrediting Frankie Smokes. But I think no, I love LeVert. I think he's a great player. I think he's got a lot of edge. I'm excited to see what happens to him going forward, because I don't think the Nets are good. He's going to be his long-term future with Kyrie and KD.
No, I think you're looking at a consolidation trade, and it's just about figuring out where that consolidation trade would be. I mean, obviously, I think Brooklyn would love for it to be a guy like Bradley Beal or something.
Of course.
Don't think that's going to happen. I think Washington's going to want to run this whole thing back next year, hope that John Wall is still John Wall, and see where they go from there. Whether that is a likely scenario or not, that's up for our viewers to decide. But I think that's the plan for Washington. That's going to take us to our best bets of the day. Do you want to start yours off? Do you have one in particular?
I do. Are we going weekly? Like we're both 2-2 right now, right?
We're both 2-2.
So we're going weekly. We're just going to keep that a running thing.
Let's keep it going.
Keep it going. Both 2-2. I see Utah as giving 6.5 to the Mavericks. I don't know why. Am I reading that right?
You are reading that right.
So that doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't.
The Mavericks, Luka's incredible. I don't know why the Jazz would give 6.5 to the Mavericks. I mean, Jazz, are they better? Maybe. Are they 6.5 points better? Yeah, no.
It's not like they have home court advantage.
Right. So I'm thinking Mavericks plus 6.5.
That's a good one. That is a good one. I almost am ready to switch up my best bet to that, but I'm not going to, because Luka is unreal. And what he's doing at his age, I think he's going to win MVP next year. As soon as odds come out for MVP voting for the next season, I am putting my money on Luka Doncic for MVP. I think he's going to have the narrative. I think the NBA wants him to be MVP next year.
If this is the 1970s, Luka was definitely drinking beer and smoking cigarettes at halftime, right?
I mean, Luka's not in great shape. He might be drinking beer and smoking cigarettes at halftime now.
It's insane how good he is.
He's going to get to a level where, obviously he's a good enough shooter. And It's not like there's anything wrong functionally with his form. But he takes a lot of hard shots. But he's going to have a year, because right now I think he's at 32, 33% from three. He's going to have a year where instead of being 32, 33%, he's 38%.
Right.
And he's still doing everything else. He's going to be more in shape. He's probably going to have a year where he's getting to the free throw line 11 times a game. And he's just going to be – he's basically going to be modern day post-prime LeBron.
Yeah.
Just more because kind of under the rim, but a better shooter. But I think he's going to win MVP next year. He's ridiculous. That's a great best bet. I'm going to switch up. It's a new week. The Suns are 5-0. Still rolling. But I'm not taking them.
Ouch.
I'm not taking them. And I'm actually looking at the line. It moved even more. The Thunder are getting 5.5 points. And I'm going to take the 5.5 points. I'm going to take the Thunder plus 5.5 over
It's your funeral.
It's my funeral. But I think the Thunder are good. And hey, look, the Suns might go 6-0. But I'm going to take the 5.5 points that I'm getting out of it.
Are you excited for the Suns to go undefeated in the bubble and then still put up 23 wins next year?
You know what? It's such a plausible scenario. It's so plausible that they win all these games at the end, build up this goodwill, and then next year shit hits the fan and Devin Booker requests a trade.
Right. It's going to be so they're going to be 2-10, and then it's going to be trade Karis LeVert and Jared Allen for Devin Booker rumors nonstop. That's exactly how this plays out.
I like that. Sources report to the Hardwood Herald.
I would hate this so much.
Devin Booker.
I would be so upset.
Yeah. No, that would be ridiculous. Don't think that's going to be the move, but I could see that scenario playing out pretty easily. Let's take a look at the comment section. Zion Williamson being trained by Ben and Jerry.
pretty much.
Brooklyn Nets not messing around. Guys, thank you for watching our Monday episode of Morningwood. We'll be back this week at hopefully the same time tomorrow, but my jury duty situation is still up in the air right now. We'll see. Have to call in after 5 p.m. today. And that's going to do it for a Monday edition, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.